Let us start with a short story. Many years ago, in a small village called Kishanpur, lived two friends, Danu and Mishri. Danu's father worked on a fishing boat. Danu's mother sold the fish at the village market. Danu's parents were not interested in sending Danu to school. They wanted him to grow big and strong quickly to help them with catching and selling fish. Mishri's parents worked as farm laborers on paddy fields. Mishri's parents wanted Mishri to study and make a good career for herself. So while Mishri started going to the village school, Danu spent all his time roaming around in the village. Mishri's parents took her to the doctor every time she was sick. Danu's parents could not afford good medical care for him, and he developed a chronic liver disease. In a few years, Mishri completed her schooling and went on to take a vocational course or training in computer applications. Danu, on the other hand, kept too sick to even get trained as a fisherman. Today, Mishri earns a good salary working in an office in a nearby city. Danu makes a meager living selling fish in the village market. Both Danu and Mishri came from the same village and from quite similar family backgrounds. So, why is Mishri's present situation far better than Danu's? The three things that made Mishri achieve a better position in life than Danu are education, good health care, and training. Uneducated, untrained, and unhealthy people like Danu are a nation's liability. Such people find it difficult to care for themselves and can do little for society. On the other hand, educated, trained, and healthy people like Mishri are an asset to the nation. These people not only make a good life for themselves, but they also contribute to the betterment of society. Education, good medical care, and training are the three investments that transform people into assets or resources. Such educated, healthy, and well-trained people constitute the human resource or human capital of a nation. India's rising population is often seen as a problem. It is considered a liability to provide such a large number of people with food, education, health care, and skills. However, the fact that an educated, skilled, and healthy population contributes tremendously to a nation's productivity is often overlooked. In fact, the investment made in educating and training people and providing them with health care is more than recovered by the higher productivity of a healthy, skilled workforce. Great importance is attached to resources like land and physical capital like money and machines. However, imagine what would happen to these resources without human capital. Without human capital, resources like land and machines would be of no use and just waste away. This is because human resources put other resources to productive use, and not the other way around. The difference that investment in education, medical care, and training makes to human resources is evident in all production sectors, including agriculture. The Green Revolution in India is a direct result of better knowledge and techniques provided to farmers. For many industries like the IT industry, skilled manpower or human capital is more valuable than machines and equipment. India's IT industry is a good example of how a largely human resource-based industry can make a significant contribution to the country's gross domestic product or GDP. Japan is another good example of a country that has achieved great success by investing on the education and health of its people. The efficiency and technological skills of the Japanese are evident by the fact that Japan exports more than it imports, despite being poor in natural resources. Compare Japan's story with some countries in Africa that are enormously rich in natural resources but have largely uneducated and unskilled populations. These countries are the poorest nations in the world. Any child with an investment in education, medical care and training can become a useful human resource. The responsibility to make a child a useful human resource rests with the parents. Educated parents are more inclined to spend on their child's education, healthcare and training. The child who grows up to be a good human resource similarly takes care of his children. This forms a virtuous cycle. On the other hand, uneducated parents are less inclined to invest on their child's education and healthcare. The child who grows up with such disadvantages tends to keep his children in similar deprived conditions, creating a vicious cycle to produce poor human resources. You are in school, which shows that your parents are willing to invest in your education. It is your responsibility to work hard too. Choose a vocation that interests you and become useful human capital for your country. If you look around, you will see that people work in different professions. But why do people work? People work to generate income to be able to provide for themselves and their families. Just like an individual, the government of a country also needs to generate income to look after its population and carry on works of public interest, nation building and international trade. The national income of a country is measured by its gross domestic product, or GDP, which is the total value of all the goods and services produced in the country in a year. The different activities that people carry out to create goods and services, which contribute towards the national income, are called economic activities. Economic activities can be classified based on their nature and purpose. Based on their nature, the economic activities can be classified into three sectors: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. Based on their purpose, economic activities can be classified as market activities and non-market activities. The primary sector economic activities are agriculture and forestry, animal husbandry, fishing, poultry farming, and mining. The secondary sector economic activities include quarrying or mining of stone slabs and manufacturing of goods. The tertiary sector economic activities include trade, transport, communication, banking, insurance, education, healthcare, and tourism. The economic activities performed with the purpose of generating income or profit are called market activities. Market activities include the production of goods and services for customers and salaried jobs. The economic activities performed with the purpose of producing or gathering things for self-consumption are called non-market activities. Non-market activities include small-scale farming, fishing, gathering jungle produce, and processing raw food by cooking. Note that agriculture is an example of both market and non-market activity. Agriculture on a large scale, where a farmer produces enough for himself and is left with a surplus to sell and make a profit, is a market activity. However, agriculture on a small scale just to feed the farmer and his family is a non-market activity. Now let us look at the kind of economic activities performed by men and women. These are a little different, as traditionally we have separate roles defined for men and women in a family. In our society, men are expected to go out and work to earn money and provide for the family. Women are generally expected to stay at home and look after household chores like cooking, cleaning, washing, and looking after the children. The men get paid for the work they do. Their work contributes to the national income. However, the women never get paid for the hard, back-breaking housekeeping work they do. Their work does not contribute to the national income. Times have changed now, though. Today, women also go out, work, and get paid just like men. How much a person can earn depends on his or her education and vocational skills. A large number of women with poor education and skills are employed in the unorganized sector doing manual labor like rolling incense sticks, making matches, and picking tea leaves. This has several disadvantages. The main disadvantages for women employed in the unorganized sector are less wages than men, low and irregular income, no job security and legal protection, and absence of basic facilities like maternity leave, medical care, and child care. However, women with higher education and advanced skills secure high-paying jobs as teachers, doctors, and administrative officers in the organized sector. In jobs in the organized sector, women get paid at par with their male colleagues and enjoy all the benefits of a secure job. In line with the modern Indian philosophy of providing equal opportunities to men and women, the highest public post of the President of India is occupied by a woman, Srimati Pratibha Devi Singh Patil. Education, healthcare, and training make a population an asset to a country. Thus, these are the three factors that determine the quality of a nation's population. Uneducated, untrained, and unhealthy people find it difficult to take care of themselves and can do little for society. Thus, they are a nation's liability. Why is education so important? What does it do to make you an asset to your nation? Education unlocks the doors of new aspirations and opportunities for you and allows you to have a good life. Education inculcates good values to make you a better person. Education allows you to find good employment so that you can contribute to the national income. Education prepares you to become a responsible citizen and contribute to the country's good governance. India's national education policy recognizes the importance of education in tackling the problems and the requirements for a person's growth. Now, let us look at some steps taken by our government to educate people in India. The national expenditure on education grew from just 151 crore rupees in the first 5-year plan of 1951 to 43,825 crore rupees in the 10th plan of 2002. From 1951 to 2002, the expenditure on education rose from just 0.64% to 3.98% of our gross domestic product. The government is in the process of establishing Navodaya Vidyalayas in every district of the country to provide universal access to education to all children, with special emphasis on girls. The central government has also launched the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan in partnership with the state and local governments. This is a time-bound initiative to provide free, compulsory elementary education to all children between 6 and 14 years of age by 2010. The 10th five-year plan for 2002-2007 focused on increasing the enrollment of students from 18 to 23 years of age in higher education. The 10th plan also aimed to combine formal, informal and distance education to provide better access to education to students in all parts of the country. The government aims to provide vocational training even to high school students. However, many well-paying skills are acquired through higher education in colleges after school. The number of universities and colleges of higher studies have grown in number since 1951. Still, these are not enough to accommodate all the aspiring students in the country. The chart here shows the rise in the number of college students and teachers in India between 1951 and 1999. Clearly, the number of teachers has not increased in proportion with the large increase in the number of students. The state of education in a country is measured by its literacy rate. Let us see the trend in the literacy rate of India. The chart here shows the change in the literacy rate in India from 1951 to 2001. You can see that the literacy rate is continuously on the rise. You can also see that the literacy rate is higher for the male population than for the female population. This is mainly due to the tradition of less emphasis on education of girls. Fortunately, this trend appears to be changing. People in urban areas are more literate than people in rural areas. Among the states, literacy rates range from 96% in some districts of Kerala to under 30% in parts of Bihar and Jharkhand. After education and training, let us move on to health. Why is staying healthy important for you? Good health allows you to fight illness and perform to your full potential. Good health allows you to work more efficiently and be an asset for the organization you work for. Besides career opportunities and growth, good health is important for your overall well-being as an individual. Our national health policy aims to make healthcare and family welfare programs more accessible to people and provide them with nutritional guidance with special focus on the poorer sections of society. There has been a tremendous increase in the number of healthcare institutions in India in the past few decades. Health sub-centers, primary health centers, and community health centers catering to the rural population have grown in large numbers. A good indicator of the increase in health facilities is the number of hospital beds available in India. Indian doctors are renowned the world over for their expertise. The pool of trained doctors and nursing staff has also increased in India, though there is still more requirement for such people. How do you judge the health of a population? The health of a population is indicated by parameters like its life expectancy, infant mortality rate, and birth and death rates. Better healthcare facilities increased the average life expectancy in India to 65 years by the year 2000. Infant mortality rate is the number of deaths of children under 1 year of age per 1,000 live births. Child and family care programs reduced the infant mortality rate in India from 147 in 1951 to 75 by the year 2000. Birth rate is the number of babies born per 1,000 people in a given time. With increasing awareness about family planning, the birth rate in India came down to 26.1 by the year 2000. Death rate is the number of deaths per 1,000 people in a given time. With better healthcare, the death rate in India decreased to 8.7 by the year 2000. Like education, healthcare facilities are also not uniformly distributed in India. For example, while the states of Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra have 81 out of the 181 medical colleges in India, the densely populated states of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh have very few. We often hear about the problems of unemployment and unemployed people. Who exactly qualifies as being unemployed? Let us look at some people to understand the definition of unemployment. Meet the Kumar family. Let us see what each person in this family does and decide whether he or she is unemployed or not. Mr. Kumar's father is a retired senior citizen. He no longer goes out to work, but he is not considered unemployed as he is above the age of 59. Mr. Kumar's daughter is still in school. She cannot be considered unemployed as she is less than 15 years of age. Mr. Kumar goes out to work in an office and gets paid for it. He is certainly employed. Mrs. Kumar prefers to look after her house and family. She willingly does not want to go out and work to earn. Thus, she also cannot be considered unemployed. Mr. Kumar's son is 20 years old. He is willing to work but has no job as yet. He belongs to the category of unemployed people. Unemployment exists when a person, 15 to 59 years of age, who is willing to work at acceptable wages, cannot find a job. Such a person is called an unemployed person. The form of unemployment is different in rural and urban areas. In villages, people usually face seasonal unemployment or disguised unemployment. On the other hand, in large towns and cities, people often face educated unemployment. Seasonal unemployment occurs when people cannot find work for a few months in a year. Seasonal unemployment is mostly faced by farm laborers in rural areas. These people have lots of work during the sowing and harvesting seasons. However, there is little or no work in the months in between. Thus, farm laborers are seasonally unemployed. Disguised unemployment occurs when people appear to be employed but do not increase the productivity at their place of work. To understand disguised unemployment, let us visit Ramdin, a farmer who works in his field. Ramdin's wife and his 3 sons also work in the same field. Ramdin's field is small. It requires the labor of only 3 people, but actually 5 people are employed on it. The work of 2 extra persons does not increase the productivity from the field. Thus, 2 people in Ramdin's family face disguised unemployment. They just appear to be employed. Disguised unemployment is easier to bear because each person has a share in the produce. However, this sharing does not improve the condition of the family. Eventually, people facing disguised unemployment have to find other work where they can actually be productive. The unemployment faced by people who are matriculates, graduates, or postgraduates is called educated unemployment. Studies suggest that there are more unemployed graduates and postgraduates than unemployed matriculates. The manpower situation in India shows a conflicting picture. While there is a growing demand for technically qualified people to boost India's economic growth, we also see so many technically qualified people being unemployed. Unemployment is a cause of many social evils. It wastes precious human resources, making people hopeless victims of depression and a liability to the nation. Unemployment creates what is called an economic overload. This is a situation where a small percentage of the employed population supports a large percentage of unemployed people. An unemployed person cannot provide healthy, nutritious food to his family. This leads to a decline in the health of the people and overall deterioration in the quality of life. In some cases, parents have to unwillingly withdraw their children from school when they can't afford their education due to unemployment. High rates of unemployment indicate a sick, sluggish economy. Thus, unemployment not only affects individuals, but has a negative impact on the overall economy of a nation. At 7.2%, the unemployment rate in India is comparatively low in the world. However, many people in India do not get the opportunity to work at their full potential and to earn the income they deserve. You already know that economic activities are divided into primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. Let us see which activities in these sectors employ the largest number of people. In the primary sector, agriculture employs the largest number of people. In recent years, surplus labor engaged in agriculture has started moving to the secondary and tertiary sectors for employment. In the secondary sector, small-scale manufacturing units employ the largest number of people. There is no clear winner in the tertiary sector. However, this sector has opened new avenues like biotechnology and information technology to generate a large number of jobs for people.